look what Center Grove did with the funds that they had, and they were very careful to make sure, because you made sure you were very fiscally responsible, I guess would be the right word in the bargaining, to make sure that whatever was bargained and agreed to can be sustained long-term.
Absolutely.
That's really, really important, and that's really, really hard right now. The way the legislature has set up the school funding piece, it's a real challenge, especially for small schools or schools that aren't experiencing any growth at all. They're having to fight for every nickel and dime, and there is no real vision for them getting more money in the coming years. And so in those places, those teachers, you're going to hear about teachers who've been flatlined, who don't anticipate seeing a raise until the legislature changes the law. They might get a little stipend because they got a little bit of money, but because the corporation can't really get a good sense of whether that amount is coming the next year, they're afraid to bargain and put the school corporation into a deficit position. So, which would be really bad, because then they'd have to come back to you and say, oh, we gave you this money last year, but this year we're taking it back. So there are going to be places, and you may have already heard, people say, we're never ever going to get a raise again. And there are probably more of those people in the state than there are people who are getting raises. So I say that just to preface what I'm about to say about your contract. I was pretty impressed. The fact that you actually have a formula built in the Barrick model that will actually allow you to plug in multiple factors and figure out what your salary is. That's going to help your administration a lot, I think. I would not want to be the person who manages payroll with many, I was telling somebody right before some of you came in that, in the past, you had a payroll structure and a salary schedule that allowed multiple people to be at the same place, and so somebody managing the money might only have 20 people at this place on the salary schedule and 50 people over here and 70 here. But now every individual employee is on a salary schedule that is very unique to them. So it's not as simple as opening up the contract, going across and going, oh, I've got my master's and 15, and oh, look, there's how much I make. It's just not that simple, unfortunately, anymore. So fortunately for you, your bargaining team got a pretty good contract, and they've bargained what looks like to be a pretty fiscally responsible raise. And like I said, I was pleasantly surprised at the amount. It may not feel like a lot to you, but when you look around the state, you're going to find it's actually really good. And in Chad's unit, our Uniserv director, out of all the corporations that he's worked with in bargaining, I think he still has 2 left to finish up, but I don't anticipate either of those to come out anywhere near what you have. So I applaud your bargaining team, and I would applaud, Katie, your administration too, because I don't know if you could have gotten the Barrick in with much resistance from administration. I don't know that you could have been guaranteed a raise with an administration that wanted to be really difficult. So kudos to both of you. And I would assume, is Rich Arkanoff still your superintendent?
Yeah.
I worked with him in the past just for a short period of time before when he was a principal, and I would assume that he has a great deal of respect for your bargaining team in order for things to have come out the way they have. When there isn't respect, in some instances administrators are not going for the Barrick model, which is a formula that ISTA staff has built. If there isn't trust, you might get a stipend over a raise because they just don't trust that you understand the numbers or that your bargaining team understands the numbers. Or they try to pull the wool over your eyes and make you think that they're in deficit financing so that you won't ask for the raise that you rightly deserve. So bravo, good job. And I don't know, what was your ratification meeting like? Did you have a pretty good turnout for that?
We had 45.
Well, that's not bad, considering the size of your local. I know that sounds horrible to you as a local president, having been in your seat. But statistically, percentage-wise, that's probably about what you're going to see around the state.